Welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. I'm Eric Hoernke, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2019 film The Lighthouse, directed by Robert Eggers. So this is Eggers' sophomore movie, his second movie following 2015's very well-regarded The Witch. Obviously, if you've seen both of these films, he places a premium on being distinctive, visionary, independent, artistic voice in cinema. That being said, don't look for like a Liam Neeson action film vehicle out of this guy. Think more, seems to be more like a Darren Aronofsky type. That really seems to be the career path that he's traveling, at least at this point. So The Lighthouse has been cobbled together from a bunch of maritime stories, a lot from the 1800s, from Edgar Allan Poe to Poe Melville, among others. I gotta admit, I had a WTF did I just see moment watching this movie. It's one of those, you know, those films when you get done, you're watching it and you're like, what did I just see? I struggle with the idea of, you know, is this awful or is this brilliant, or does it fall somewhere on the spectrum? I tend to struggle sometimes with movies that are more symbolic based than narrative, where it's, you know, form over function kind of thing, where it's, like I said, a vehicle for symbolism, essentially. Technically, this movie is amazing, though. From everything from the direction, to the script, to the acting, to the production design, to the cinematography especially. Its one Oscar nomination was for cinematography, which it did not win, but it was amazing nonetheless. And also, I loved Eggers' shot composition, the way he staged and framed shots. Like it was just very noticeable. Like I'm looking at the shot and I'm like, it's just framed wonderfully. So ostensibly, this is a very simple story, as we get two lighthouse keepers coming onto this barren, desolate, uninhabited island somewhere off the coast of New England in it looks like the 1800s-ish period of America. We get, I guess nominally the protagonist would be the Robert Pattinson character, who's introduced as Ephraim Winslow. He is the junior of the two and has come down, he's new to this gig and has just come down from Canada, where he was doing a stint as a lumberjack or working in the lumber industry up north in Canada. He seems to be kind of drifting along through life, trying to sort of find his path, shall we say. And then there is the Willem Dafoe character, Thomas Wake, who is the salty, grizzled, old veteran wickie, as he calls himself. And he has been doing this for quite some time and has the stories and scars to prove it. So basically, we just put them in that situation, and then we're left to just watch them. They're there nominally for 4 weeks, and we just kind of watch them go about their day-to-day activities. Wake, the elder, insists that he and only he can be the keeper of the light. When we are introduced to Pattinson's Ephraim Winslow, he is very by the book. I guess he's new to this. He doesn't really know what is in store for him. I don't think he's been really introduced to this guy. So they're kind of meeting and coalescing for the first time at this juncture. You know, and so like I said, he's very by the book. He's like, oh, we're supposed to take turns. And Wake has a almost maniacal obsession with the light is his, and therefore just says everything else is yours, and you do everything else. All the scut work, basically. And also it seems like Wake controls Winslow's progress reports and can dock his wages and can basically get him in trouble. So he kind of has this positional authority over him. Also, you get this mentor-apprentice relationship developing. So that's all well and good. And then this starts to take a sharp turn for the surrealistic when they really start hitting the drink heavily. Like I said, the Pattinson character, the Winslow, is very by the book, and the book says apparently they're not supposed to drink. Very quickly that alters as time goes by and they begin drinking, and it is one of the only things that they do outside of keeping the light. For basically not being supposed to be drinking, it is surprisingly plentiful. Is a surprisingly plentiful product that they have. It's like probably the largest portion of their provisions, I would imagine, is their quantity of alcohol that they have, let's say. So like I said, as they start drinking and get more and more sauced, this takes a sharp turn into the surrealistic realm. What follows is something that feels sort of like a bizarre fever dream, like time blurs. Ephraim starts seeing like monsters, and he sees like a tentacled monster, and he sees the Willem Dafoe character as something else. He sees a mermaid. Like it's really just bizarre, and there's moments of lucidity where you think like, okay, are we stumbling back into reality before it trips back into a more surrealist scene once again. He has a what do you call it? A back and forth with a seagull. He has a conflict with a seagull that has a pretty one-sided resolution. And also, as time goes by, he more and more wants access to the upper part of the lighthouse where the light is kept. You know, and Wake has a key, so it's locked, and he's prevented from going there. And he gets more and more in his mind that there's something up there. Either he's keeping something up there, or it's something sublime, maybe. Who knows? So as it goes even further, these guys, like I said, descend into drink, and they go from like at each other's throats to singing and dancing over the course of an evening to crying in a man hug. The whole thing feels very like biblical, definitely mythological, as it evokes deities such as Prometheus very strongly, and also Proteus. If you don't know about those, maybe look them up, do a little research. You shouldn't really have to research stuff for a movie, but I'm saying it'll make more sense if you know what those are. Prometheus and Proteus. It also has the obvious themes of drinking and alcoholism, evoking, I think, the trope of the drunken sailor. There's pride mixed also with prejudice. There's camaraderie as well as homoeroticism, once again a trope of the drunken sailor. You mix it all up into a cauldron, and what do you get? Something that has a distinctive taste, something both awful and wonderful all at the same time. If I have any qualms, like I said, this seems to be a vehicle simply for symbolism, and I don't mind symbolic movies per se. I don't mind movies that have a narrative structure and have symbology contained within them. But this seems to be symbology with no greater meaning. Like it's symbolism for symbolism's sake. And what I mean by that is when you get to the end, you wonder, did it expose some fundamental truth or meaning behind the human condition? And if it did, I am sort of having struggled gleaning that from what they put on the screen. So I think this is going to be somewhat of a divisive film. I think film nerds like me are going to find beauty and meaning in what sparse narrative there is, but also in the symbology and in the look of the film. Whereas people who are searching for a more, like I said, a strict narrative structure type movie might be fuming and dumbfounded when the credits roll. I wouldn't say that this is a great film, if only for the technical acumen regarding it and the script. But you should definitely know what you're getting into, and this is definitely genre-defying and boundary-pushing a movie as I've ever seen. All housed in what's ostensibly a simple package. So, overall, it definitely made me think. It was definitely original. So I have to say that I did like it quite a bit, even though it also confounded me quite a bit. So overall, I'm going to give The Lighthouse, directed by Robert Eggers, 2019, a B+. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching my movie review. I enjoyed making it. As always, I'm Eric Hoernke. That rhymes with turnkey. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave some comments if you want. And as always, this has been a production of Zero Value.